So yeah, so I've learned quite a bit since we played last time. We're gonna go on this short adventure with the intent of trying to get some money. Let's see. Who do I want to bring? Fucking... how's Six Gun doing? It's got a disease, but everybody has a disease and Kami. I think we want food before torches, since I'm broke. I guess we could always go a little ways in. If you end the level early, maybe torches are a better decision. They just take a little bit of damage and stress for not having enough food to eat. But if it gets really dark, we could be in big trouble, so we'll see if we can beat it with 4 torches and no food. Yeah, make it as blind as possible.
The fiends must be driven back. And what better place to begin than the seat of our noble line?
Your character is still alive. I think the only character who's died so far is Marty. The one named for my cat. If you've never played Darkest Dungeon before and you like really hard roguelike turn-based RPGs, man, is this the game for you. It's so cool. I can't recommend it enough. I think I need more stun. Had a lot of benefit, or a lot of success with stun playing this off stream.
Maintain the offensive.
They added a new event that occasionally lets you resurrect dead people, though. It's super rare. You only get to pick one. I think I want to kill them before. When you surprise them in combat, the rate of surprise is higher based on how much torchlight you have, but it doesn't actually like skip a turn for them like it kind of does in a lot of RPGs. It just makes it so that they act last in combat. So I think that your strategy should be killing or stunning as many of them as possible on the surprise round, so that when they actually do get to act, they're not doing more damage to you. Probably shouldn't have brought the Houndmaster to this level. These undead dudes just completely resist bleed, which makes sense. Probably shouldn't be able to bleed undead.
So too will resistance.
I'm gonna have to change some of these characters' skills when I'm able to as well. Like, if I'm gonna use his ability that makes him dash forward, I probably want to have somebody else that can dance backward and switch spots with him. Especially. That was a bad decision.
Another abomination cleansed from our lands.
Probably doesn't matter for these guys, but I've also picked up that it seems to be good to try to like deactivate or kill the back line as soon as possible. If you can like shuffle their order around, enemy abilities, just like player abilities, are a function of their position in combat. So people in back move to the front and front to the back, they could become way less effective.
They can be beaten.
So many room battles in here, jeez. Same. Oh, that's a bummer. We still get riposte? Okay, good. See if we can kill him with the cleric, maybe. Stun the dude in the front. Fantastic. Alright.
Give them no quarter.
This is a pretty cool enemy, the Madman. He like gives everyone stress damage by babbling about Doomsday and stuff. There's a lot of really cool design space in Darkest Dungeon. Do you know if the developer is still working on it, like adding new patches to it? I think the Hamlet thing was, the Hamlet events was one of the most recent things they added. Nice crits. Overconfidence precipitates a dizzying fall. Alright, probably want to heal him now. Shit, especially now. That's bad news. Try to get a stun in here so we can spend some turns healing. Hubris. What's interesting is that if you spend too long, like if you get the enemy locked down like this, and you try to spend a bunch of time healing up your party, the party eventually takes stress damage for wasting too much time, like... So it's a good way to balance it, to keep you from just stalling at the end to heal everyone to full for free, since you can't do any healing out of combat.
Success.
Good decisions for the way the game plays out in general. Look at all the room battles in this one.
Packs laden with loot are often low on supplies.
For the better, irrepressible. What does that do? Okay, virtue is when their stress meter maxes out. Instead of getting a negative trait, like a quirk for their affliction for the rest of the dungeon, they get a positive one. They like overcome the challenge and are better for it. So certain classes have a higher chance of that happening, and there's certain quirks that increase or decrease the chance. Hey, that's the last room we have to go to, so we might not even have to eat any food. Decorative urn. Try putting the holy water in there. Hey, what do you know?
Wealth beyond measure.
That was correct.
Awarded to the brave and the foolhardy alike.
You can do some healing out of combat, you just can't use abilities to heal. It's one of those things that doesn't make a lot of sense from a flavor perspective, but from a mechanics perspective, like, totally is reasonable, I think. And you can camp as well, which is kind of a way to heal outside of combat, depending on how long your mission is. Like, different characters get... we should probably heal. Different characters get different camping skills, and you can bandage your allies to heal them a little bit.
Back to the pit.
I won't get to kill both. Kill one. You have a lot of control over both the crit and miss rate in this game. Dodge is a pretty easy to understand stat, as is accuracy.
A trifling victory, but a victory nonetheless.
Crits are really important for your party because they usually give you stress healing. If you crit successfully, everyone else is excited about it. They feel less worried about the dungeon, so you want to try to crit as much as possible, not because it does a lot of extra damage, and that's part of it, but the stress healing that lets you persist for longer without having to quit out of the dungeon. Still getting some dropped frames, guys. Today's been really bad with Comcast, so we'll give them a call tonight. Probably not going to be able to do anything, but see what we can find out. I'm going to keep healing him. Just try to outpace the damage he's taking. Nothing else. Nice crit. So it doesn't necessarily give... I think it's random which party members get stress healing when you crit. Same with when you get crit by the enemy. Sometimes only you take additional stress damage, sometimes other party members take it as well. I'm going to move him back again rather than attack here. Really need to have him another move that moves him back as part of his action. Perfect. But the thing I really like about Darkest Dungeon, it's all about risk-reward, and it's really fun to try to balance that and optimize and turn by turn. You have all the time in the world to decide what you want to do, and I've never felt like when something bad has happened that it wasn't my fault. Like, well, I knew that I took that risk going into it. It's all about like trying to maximize probabilities, I feel like. I guess it's kind of like, in a very weird way, it's like playing poker, right? Poker, there's a lot of randomness, but you can be good at poker by maximizing your probability on every turn. Taking smart risks. Cool. Victory!
Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
Sweet, yeah. So the corpse system is something they added. The whole game is built around positional combat, right? Like the abilities you can use in the front row vary by what character you have and what skills you have equipped. And it's the same for enemies. So there are certain enemies that when they die, they leave a corpse behind, which still counts as taking up a space in battle. So suppose I have a character that can only hit the enemies that are in the first row and the second row. If there's two corpses in the first and second row, I can no longer attack the enemies that are in the back. I have to clear the corpses first. So it adds a bunch of cool design space around. There's certain abilities that do extra damage to corpses or automatically clear all the corpses. There's abilities that like shift the positioning of the enemies, so it can pull someone to the front or push them to the back. It's something that you can turn off because I guess there's some people that aren't a fan of the corpse system, but I think it's interesting. It's a cool mechanic. It expands the design space of the game. It's unique to enemies, obviously. Like there's not such a thing as a party corpse. You probably don't want your characters dying that often anyway. Plus 10% damage below 50% HP. But it keeps the enemy ordering relevant, even when you kill an enemy. You have to make more decisions after that.
The terrible wonders I have come to know.
Man, Ben got drunk at the bar and lost money because he got too tipsy. Way to go, Ben. Serpent has become one with pain and refuses to stop flagellating yet. Hey, way to go. Morty prayed and recovered 69 stress and is no longer hopeless. Good to hear. Good job, buddy. So we have more money now, but I don't think I want to do a ton of upgrades just yet. Try to make it a little cheaper.
In the end, every plan relies upon a strong arm and tempered steel.
How are we doing on stress here? Buckin's not doing too great. You can go to the brothel, but not to the bar. Is it brothel only? Okay, make it. Edgelord. Ben's super drunk. I can probably bring him on a mission though. Ben and Cheesy. Let's see who I can recruit. Actually, I already have bounty hunters and highwaymen, and my roster's full right now, so I'm not going to take any of those folks yet. Do any combat skill upgrading? I can change their skills from here though, can I? Right. Sanguine is a jester. They're like a bard class. Big fan. So they're like a healer that instead of healing health heals stress, and then they have some other cool attacks on top of that. It'd be so expensive though. No, I think I gotta save until I can make it a little bit cheaper. Might be able to exchange some stuff to make it cheaper.
Every creature has a weakness. The wise hero trains for what he will face.
Try this again. How's Kevin doing on stress? Not bad. Okay. Let Kami rest for a round. Maybe I'll bring Propagable, since Serpent is off flagellating, crawling into skin, whose wounds they will not heal. Let's bring Sanguine, and how about... bring Nahazat. That's pretty much so far. The gameplay of this is amazing though, like... I'd love to see them just continue making new areas and stuff for this game forever. It's a lot of fun. I like having to make the decision even when you leave on an adventure, like, well, how much money do I spend on provisions because I'm not going to get it back? Can I survive with just 6 torches or do I need 8 torches? Like, that sort of thing is really exciting. Yeah.
Corruption has soaked the soil.
It's
life from these groves.
It's a hard game in a unique way. Like, I don't think I've ever played a really, really hard, you're expected to fail constantly, turn-based RPG, you know? I've played turn-based RPGs that are really hard and you do fail constantly, but that wasn't like a design decision. And you can often avoid dying that much. if you're smart about it. Let's see. Stun this guy here. That's an attack that stuns and moves them on the map. Kill the dog, and then maybe we can kill this guy before... Or I can stun both of them so they can't do shit. Look at that. Beautiful. Oh, but he resisted stun. Never mind. It's a bummer. This is such a cool ability, the solo plus finale. I'll just show it in the next battle. Basically, as a jester, mainly his thing that he does is he can do decent bleeding, and he can apply stress relief to the party. But if he's in the front row, he has this ability called Finale that does a shit ton of damage, and then solo moves him to the front lines. So you can open battle with him being in the front. When he uses Finale, it moves him all the way to the back. Poisonous sap. Right now I'm just picking the adventures that are listed as short rather than medium. I'll go through that next time we get... Shit, forgot to disable the trap. Bummer.
Watch your step.
Sometimes when you scout a room you want to try to cover that. I screwed that up. Yay, 6 food. Look at that.
Trinkets and
You can use food to heal out of combat as well.
Blood.
Anyway, short adventures are a lot safer. Medium go on a lot longer, and you usually, if you're not really prepared for them, you're probably going to have to bail out if things go poorly for you. So I try to stick to the ones that are marked as short, and there's usually one every time you go back to town that's just randomly marked that way. So use Finale here. Oh, it missed! I have to see how sweet it is. It's a bummer. You get a debuff after using it to keep you from spamming it. It's too bad. Try to stun their stress damage dealers here. Sanguine. We're just going to put you on stress relief duty here. You can upgrade that so that it heals more stress over time. It also makes them take less stress damage from future attacks, which is nice. Oh, that would be bad. Please don't pull. Please don't pull. Shit. Your sniper's not very good in the first rank. Oh, I actually would have wanted that one to work. Oh well. Yeah, go back to where you were. Waste your turn on it.
Their formation is broken.
Nice.
Maintain the offensive.
But now we have the problem of having 2 corpses on the ground. I don't think we have any abilities that clear corpses right now. Might use her to heal. Propagable with big heals coming into town. Not quite as good as the cleric for healing, but you know, sometimes you just gotta roll with what you get. Minus 10 accuracy. Yeah, I think I'm just going to keep recovering stress here. See if we can break their corpses. Got one of them, so we should be able to do damage next turn with them. This bounty hunter character does a bunch of extra damage with some of his attacks if the enemy is marked, so there's cool like party synergy where you try to have a character that mostly marks enemies so that the bounty hunter can do more damage instead of having to spend multiple turns on doing that. So close. Yeah, so I think they end up using a harmless swipe when they're in the back row. It makes them a little bit worse. Part of the advantage of pushing them in the back like that, since they default to the front row. Keep reducing everybody's stress level.
As As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
Let's say I wasn't sure if they had corpses, or it looks like they do.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles. Remind yourself
back
that
up.
overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
Alright, so this one, it says the mission for the level is again to complete 100% of room battles. So we have to go to any room that says it has a battle. And since we lucked out by scanning there, we see that there is a battle here, even though it's going to require us to backtrack.
A fortune waiting to be spent.
Usually it's pretty great if you can avoid backtracking. Reduces having to eat as often, and you don't have to use quite so many torches, but you can't always get by. Wonder if I can burn away the spiderweb. Oh, guess not. Just wasted the item. Because you just learn what items to use in each curio as you're playing. That usually makes sense. Enemies can have certain fears, like you can have arachnophobia. The solo debuffs all of them, buffs him, and then moves him to the front row so that he can use that finale attack that whiffed last time. But it's such a cool concept, I think. It makes sense for a bard to do this wicked solo that debuffs the enemies and then does a huge finale attack. Smart design. Reducing their accuracy or buffing party dodge. Accuracy is compared against dodge. Dodge is pretty important to being successful in this game, I've found.
Another abomination.
Because it completely negates damage taken. Finale. I missed again. Shit, man. It does like 20 damage when it hits. It's super strong. I probably need to buff it a little bit, like upgrade the Guildmaster so it doesn't suck quite so bad. It doesn't keep missing.
With impunity.
Later, Prep Gable. Enjoy class. See you around. Blight is like a bleed effect and it stacks over time, so the fact that they've applied it twice to him is really bad. He's going to take more damage on his turn than he would have if it had just been used once. It's also interesting to have a character that's built on applying dots to enemies, because you can try to keep doing it. Like bleed, bleed, bleed. All of those will stack with each other. And as he healed for a little bit more because the original bandage increased the amount of healing he received.
Be gone, fiend.
One of the things we could have taken when we started the level is we could have gotten some basically medicine to remove the blight, but now that they're going to be walking around with it, they're just going to take some damage that I can't stop. Another thing, if you know you're going to an area that's going to have a lot of poison or bleeding, you can try to bring items with you that reduce that. Or you can be risky and not do that and try to save some cash. Put a torch in this thing, I think it makes you fight a secret boss. I did it once, I got my ass kicked, so. Alright, surprise. Fortunately, bringing the bard along pretty much means that Sanguine Haze will be able to get out of here without significant stress damage, assuming that we don't die. Should be doable. Try to stun both of them, maybe get some more healing in on Nahazad over there. Not having the best day. That's a bummer. Stun missed. Oh, it spawned another one? You don't get like extra experience for there being multiple enemies, so you don't get excited like you do in some RPGs. Hey, it spawned another enemy, cool. Nope. There's really nothing good about that. Pretty much just a bad thing. I should probably kill this one. Later, Dieter. Thanks for hanging out. See you around. Might be speaking too soon, but maybe we're in a better position as far as Comcast goes. Hasn't been wigging out quite so bad in the last little bit of time. Fingers crossed, we'll see. This also has been a pretty low stress dungeon so far. We haven't fought a lot of enemies that are using attacks that increase our stress too much. I'm gonna take a risk here and try to heal him a little bit more rather than just end this battle. He might end up just taking more damage than I'm healing, and this will be a waste of time, but part of the risk-reward analysis you have to do in this. I think it was a net benefit there. The way turn order works in this game is kind of interesting.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
It gets re-rolled every round, so you don't know who's going to get to go first. So you can control it by increasing their speed stat. It's like they roll a random number between 1 and 8, I think, and then add their speed stat on top of that. So you can try to get their speed as high as possible to make it more likely they'll go first, but you can't really rely on it, which I think is cool. Yeah, that made him move further to the back. Try to debuff them. Try to use that finale skill again that's missed the 2 times we've used it. If we can knock them back... Oh, that sucks, they didn't get pushed. And these guys do nasty stuff if they're in the back row that synergizes with this guy, the fungal scratcher. He does extra damage to an opponent that's marked. So you have a lot of incentive to either kill him or kill them and not leave them both alive at the same time. There it is, a 22 damage crit. Really, really high crit rate. It's got an audience clapping afterward. As enemies often have moves that move them around at the same time as dealing damage. He got to go from the 2nd rank back to the 1st rank, which is where he wants to be. Try moving him again. There we go. That's pretty wonderful. Let's live in the dream.
A decisive pummeling.
I love the narrator lines in this game, they're awesome. Health always heals to full when you get out of a dungeon, but stress persists, so you could argue that stress is a little bit more important than health. It keeps you from being able to adventure, you have to spend resources on recovering stress if it gets too high. But then again, if you don't ever heal them, they could just straight up die, so it's a decision you're always having to make.
Success, so
Hey, and we're done.
view.
There are still 2 rooms in
Or
front
is
of
it
us, but
merely
they don't have any
trick
room
of the
battles in them,
light?
so we could just leave now. It's okay. Fortune
Driving out
favors the
corruption is
bold.
an endless battle, but one that must be fought.
Most of the little trinkets you can get to equip on characters in this game have a downside too, in the game's style. It's very rare that you get something that's just a flat upgrade like this one, and even then it's usually pretty mild, 1% crit. Makes a difference, but you're probably not going to feel it most of the time. Usually it'll be like, you have a higher chance of poisoning an enemy, but your speed drops significantly, or your
In
dodge
time,
drops significantly.
You will know the tragic extent of my failings.
A Serpent is feeling weak with blood loss after a vigorous round of flagellation. Thanks, Serp. Appreciate that, man. We fix that shit? Oh, I think it's just a debuff that lasts. It's like the very next quest that we take you on, your damage is going to be reduced. Alright, who we got? Vestal, Arbalest, and Plague Doctor. Do we have any Plague Doctors right now? No, I think they died. Who are some 0 level characters that we haven't used? Increase my roster. Not for a while. Alright. I think I'm gonna boot Morty. He's got stress. He hasn't succeeded on an adventure so far. Well, wait, do we have any other lepers? Maybe if he's our only leper, I want to boot somebody else. Just kill you already. I might need to. You're not so great. Do we have anybody in the darkest queue? We do. Trogdor, Tinker, Pretty Princess. Alright, I have way more Arbalists than I feel like I need. Guess I'm gonna kick Acrolith or Serp. I think it's time to let Serp go. Sorry, buddy.
Slumped shoulders, wild eyes, and a stumbling gait. This one is no more good to us.
Cracks me up. Trogdor, the Burninator. Alright, we've got way more money this time, so anything interesting for us to spend it on? Try and see if I can get weapons, yeah.
Fan the flames, mold the metal. We are raising an army.
Alright, let's give you an upgraded weapon, and we'll do the same for 6-gun. Weapon and armor. We'll bring Kami as well. And I don't think we ever named this character. This one doesn't seem familiar. Raven? Ultra like Tinker. So our next party can be 6-gun, Kevin. Want to bring Ben or Buckin? Let's go with Ben. He's higher level. Yeah, that should be good. Let's give that a try. Let's see if I want to change any of their skills out. I want to give him something that changes his position in battle. Oh wait, no, he doesn't have the riposte ability. Okay, should be fine. So these are the folks we just leveled up. 6-gun, Ben. Where's my other person? Kami. Cool. Alright, we can try a medium dungeon this time. I think I can justify that. We gotta bring way more provisions this time though, so 8 food, let's go with 10 torches. That should probably be okay. I might even want to bring 12 food and 12 torches. We'll have to heal frequently as well. I'll bring a shovel. Sometimes you get an obstruction as you're working through the dungeon, and if you don't have a shovel with you, it reduces your health and increases your stress to progress past it.
Corruption has soaked the soil, sapping all good life from these groves. Let us burn out this evil.
So you can see that this dungeon is significantly larger. We still have to do 100% of room battles. This guy has a negative trait that makes him always interact with stuff, so sometimes you want to skip it. It looks like he got sick from doing that. And now he's more likely to be affected by bleed attacks, so that's kind of a bummer. Thanks a lot, Ben. Bad kitty.
Another one falls.
No one bites the dust.
Be gone, fiend.
That went pretty well.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled.
Yeah, so he's
They
doing it
can be
again.
beaten.
That can be really bad when you're like getting pretty deep into a dungeon and you really don't want to damage your heroes by having them interact with things unnecessarily and your party members just do it. You can send them to the sanitarium to try to get them over some of their quirks like that, but it can get really expensive really fast. Try to keep the dudes in the back row if we can. Bleed is for 1 damage per round, and he has 5 hit points. Probably should have killed him.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
Reduce the amount of bullshit he does. Let's try stunning this guy, yeah. Oh, gross. All right. Can we just shoot him? Nice crits! I love everything from the narrator. It gets, after you play it a lot, it starts to get a little repetitive, but in a way that's fun, I think. And there's a lot of games where hearing the same line of dialogue over and over becomes a meme really quickly, like, no, it's rhyme time, in Xenoblade Chronicles. I don't think it's all bad. Let's see, let me try doing a party heal here. That was pretty good.
As the fiend falls,
That was pretty good.
faint hope blossoms.
Bleed might be enough to kill him. He's got 2 hit points, not quite.
Their formation is broken. Maintain the
Fantastic.
offensive.
Drop some food. Things are looking good. Now, when you do these longer levels, they give you some firewood, which lets you camp, which I don't think was in the original release of this game. But that's where they can use their special camping skills to like heal each other or cheer each other up if they're stressed out. It's pretty cool. Hey, I'm glad I brought that shovel.
Nature herself, a victim
Spare
to
ourselves
the
some
spreading
damage and
corruption,
stress.
malformed with misintent.
No room battles, but looks like there's no traps or any other bullshit on the way. But now I don't have another shovel, so...
Without tools of iron, you must rely on...
I find it hard to justify bringing 2 shovels, they're pretty expensive. You do get additional item find and like a higher crit rate for your party members when the torch is out, but it also makes the enemies a lot stronger. It makes it likely that the enemies will surprise you, which is really bad in this game.
Lie in wait.
If you get surprised, it like randomizes the order of your party. I don't think I've, even with playing it so much on the plane to Australia and back, I never really experimented with adventuring in the complete dark because it just seems really hard. Maybe once I finish upgrading my hamlet so that all my my buildings are really strong, like I can upgrade everyone's armor and weapons, get their skills really strong. It's not as big of a deal if somebody dies. I'll start trying to explore when it's dark.
Cleansed from our lands.
I think you eventually have to realize that if a party member, like, they get too stressed out or they have too many negative quirks, you gotta just let them go sometimes, you know? Like, you get attached to your characters and you're like, oh man,
Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
I've had this character since the beginning of the game, I don't want to give them up, and sometimes you really just have to, you know? It didn't do anything, it's too bad. I got some food though. We'll probably camp in this next room. See how everyone's hit points and stress are doing. Yeah, it would probably be a good time to do that. Do I have anything to remove poison? No. I have to roll with it for now. Alright, well we didn't get a scout, so I don't know if we need to go east or north, so we're just going to try going east and then backtrack.
A handsome reward for a task well performed.
think we actually want to just try to kill them. No, that sucks. It seems in this game like killing an enemy as soon as you possibly can is just really important to your success, so they don't get to do more damage to you, rather than trying to like spread the damage out as much as possible. So this guy is bleeding for 1 point of damage and he only has 1 hit point left, so it would be a waste for me to attack him right now. When his turn comes up, he's just going to die automatically. This game is really good about putting all of its stats in front of you. It doesn't really hide anything. All of the game mechanics are exposed if you're interested enough in reading what they do, which I think is appropriate since it's all about risk analysis. It's like the tactical RPGs, right? Like, they're more fun when the game doesn't have any hidden information. That there's a lack of hidden information. Oh, needing to focus enemies down. Yeah. I guess it depends on how hard it is, right? Like, I'd rather spend... In most turn-based games, I'd rather spend 2 turns wiping everybody out by using AoE abilities, and take a little bit of extra damage in the meantime, because it's usually pretty trivial to heal. Versus this game, I'd rather spend 4 turns ultimately taking less damage. Usually, easy games are more about, like, let me minimize the time I'm spending on each individual battle. Here, the optimization is let me minimize the damage and stress each individual character takes. Oh shit, that thing's barely alive, but it's gonna die from bleeding, so we're okay. Cool. The value of stun is really strong in this one. Just being able to avoid taking damage for a single turn makes a big difference. And granted, I'm basically trading this character's turn, Kevin's turn, for this guy's turn. But I do a little bit of damage in the meantime. Oh, it's not all a waste. And then everyone else gets to attack it with impunity. Hey, thanks for the host, Sir Anderson. How you been? So we don't have to worry about getting marked anymore. You might want to do the party heal again. That's pretty good. You'd think that the Vestal, the healer character, would be mandatory since they can heal, but it turns out that, like, I feel like stun effects are actually a little bit better. Anything that can keep you from taking damage before you take it is effectively doing the same thing. And if they're also doing damage at the same time, that's pretty strong. Cool, what kind of mic did you get? It's awesome. So he's only taking 1 damage around. Probably want to kill him.
Precision and
Perfect.
power.
That outdid the blight effect as well. He already is marked, so I'll go ahead and put up the thing that makes him take less damage. See if we can get another heal off on the next turn before we kill the thing. Kind of being greedy here, which very likely to get you in trouble. Nice. Critical heal. Living the dream. Okay, I think we took a little bit less damage there from using the buff. He's down to 2 hit points, so he's not going to die from the bleed alone, so we should attack him. I don't know what the rule is about giving you additional stress for, like, dilly-dallying after the battle should be over.
Victory nonetheless.
That sucks. I don't think I have anything to remove bleed either. Yeah. I don't know if there's a certain number of rounds that pass before they start to yell at you. Oh, shit. Alright, well, I could take a risk here. I don't know if this room at the end of this hallway has a battle in it, and to get to it I'm going to have to knock down that obstacle, which I really don't want to do, because it would give me way more stress and more damage. So I'm going to hope that there's not a battle there. I'm going to risk it. We're going to check these 3 rooms, and if there is a battle we have to backtrack a really long ways and it's going to suck really bad. So hope and pray. We'll go ahead and camp here, I think. There's enough stress that we can be recovering. but I think it won't be a waste.
A moment of respite. A chance to steel oneself against the coming
We've got
horrors.
a ton of food, so... But no one really needs health, right? I'll eat the extra food for the stress reduction, and we'll see what skills we want to use. Zealous Speech reduces everyone's stress and gives them a buff. Stand Tall reduces their stress. Encourage reduces their stress. And there's different... You have, like, different time costs on each of these. Some are really cool, like Bandit Sense prevents being ambushed at night and makes it easier for you to surprise enemies. It's like taking a vigil overnight. The flavor and mechanics connection on camping skills is really, really clever. Dog can reduce your stress. You don't need to use Hound's Watch because I basically just did the same thing with him. I did by accident. Oops, forgot I have to click it. But maybe the surprise buff stacks. Yeah, it looks like it does. So we get like a 40% chance to surprise monsters. Maybe that isn't a waste. Some of the buffs are like combat buffs, so you can make it so someone's better at attacking and dodging. Here I think I just want to remove everybody's stress where I can. So let's use the encourage and encourage. And that's all we can do. If you don't have a character that uses that like keep watch ability, then you can get ambushed in the middle of the night, and it's like getting surprised. The torch drops down to 0, and your party gets randomly shifted around. That's awesome, Sir Anderson. Yeah. And a quality mic can make a really big difference. I was really unlucky that we didn't get a surprise around there after such a huge bonus to it. I think once your torch is that high, you're already looking at like a 40% chance for a surprise round. What does rabies do? Minus 10% accuracy, plus 15% damage. So even that's pretty cool. There's a lot of really smart flavor to mechanics connections here. That you're mad, like a mad dog, so you do a lot more damage. But you're wild about it, so you're less accurate. This game is sweet, Sir Anderson. I put a ton of hours into it on my flights to and from Australia, and I'm nowhere near beating it on my main save file. But I'm also approaching it in this really, like, ultra-conservative fashion that probably isn't necessary for success. But I really recommend it. It's satisfying to play. Things don't go well often, so when they do go well, it's really cathartic.
As victories mount,
Another one of these guys.
so too will resistance.
Oh, there's the health and stress. Can't stop it. If we end up having to backtrack, if that last room back there has a room battle, it's going to suck really bad because we're going to be all out of torches, all out of food. Just bad news bears all around. There's our surprise round. Try to kill this guy in the back before he stresses everybody out. Ah, bummer. Let's try stunning some of them too. These guys don't have that many hit points. Shit! It was a bad day. Alright, I need you to... Oh, he's still alive! And he resisted the bleed. That's really bad. It almost couldn't have gone worse. For sure, yeah. I guess if I were to play this until we beat it on Twitch, like if we ever got it on the voting spreadsheet, we would consider beating the Darkest Dungeon once as beating it.
In a single strike.
You have to get everybody to resolve level 6 to do that, and right now my party is at like resolve level 2, I think is the highest, so it definitely takes some investments. There's some things you can do to accelerate the rate at which they gain resolve levels. Upgrading all the buildings in town helps a lot with that.
This is how a life is taken.
I love the narrator call-outs whenever you kill someone with bleed damage, like a damage over time ability. Try to catch him back up. He's not doing too hot. There we go. God, just for all our sakes,
Brought low and driven into the mud.
pray that this last room down in the end is a room battle. We're gonna be wasting a lot of time if it's not. Yeah, right?
If only treasure could staunch the flow.
No, we started Darkest Dungeon about 10
Otherworldly
minutes late, so we'll be
corruption.
switching to Rhapsody in about 5-10 minutes or so. Probably won't be able to do an entire different dungeon. I'll have to leave partway through.
Carelessness will find no clemency in this place.
20% debuff for so this is an example of one of the trinkets that, like, yeah, it gives you a buff, but there's always a downside to it, and -2 dodge is pretty significant. So you always have to make that risk-reward decision even with upgrade items, I think is cool. Shit. Alright, so we gotta walk all the way back now. The last room battle is over here. I took a chance that it wouldn't be. Had we have gone that way, we wouldn't have had to go to these last 2 rooms, and we would have finished significantly sooner. But now, the torchlight's going to completely run out. Probably going to need to eat again. It's going to be bad. This is a candidate to just, like, quit out on the dungeon lest worse things happen. Because, like, when we go to clear out that obstacle, that's going to give us so much additional stress. We also have to deal with another battle here, it looks like, on our way back. We don't always get to walk back for free. So that is, we say, is a bummer. Shit, that's also a bummer. At least he still gets the buff. Try to kill her as soon as we can. Stress damage is already going to be a problem. So much for that plan. Pretty much this entire party is going to have to go, like, recover from stress after this adventure. Their meters are all almost full. So that will be a little expensive. I like that pretty much every buff and debuff in this game stacks. So if you go to the trouble of building that up, you definitely get payoff for it. Probably should have just moved him back on that turn. Things are not looking up Millhouse at the moment. See if we can finish this dude off on next turn. Maybe. There are definitely ways to get through a dungeon with no stress. Like the last time we did one, we exited with everyone had less stress than they came in with, because I brought a bard with me, and was healing stress every turn. I also had several ways to stun enemies to keep them from using their stress-causing abilities. So I think it's definitely possible to leave a dungeon net benefit to stress, but you have to prepare for it, you have to make good decisions. Like, I definitely made a very bad decision by not going in that room. We're going to end up leaving with almost everybody maxed out. The cost of recovering characters from stress ends up getting so high that sometimes you just have to make the decision that you need to dismiss them rather than keep adventuring with them. Because it costs you too much gold to keep them healed. You have to get over being attached to them. In a lot of ways. We are out of torches officially now. We're going to take a bunch of damage for clearing this obstacle. We haven't been as lucky as to stumble upon another shovel. Yup. Yeah, it's a really small amount. Occasionally they can de-stress from... I was lucky. Given that the torch is so low, it's probably from the camping ability. Occasionally there'll be a Hamlet event that will reduce the stress of idle heroes, but it's so small. You'd have to leave them alone for many, many adventures for the stress to completely go away. And if you've let them stress out really bad, like if you've let their meter completely fill, like it's probably going to happen for Kevin here, they get an affliction where they have to go to some kind of stress relief event to get it to go away. And the afflictions are usually really bad. They'll do stuff like make the player take more damage or make their allies take more stress because they're acting weird. Looks like we're going to luck out and get one more torch before we go into the final room battle, so that will help a teeny bit. Yeah, the afflictions are cool. It's cool that it's not always an affliction, too. Sometimes you get a virtue. Your character gets a chance to be really heroic. Yeah, all the negative stuff in this game is really fun. It adds to... This game is basically risk versus reward the game, and opportunity cost the game. How do you manage both of those things from moment to moment, and then in more zoomed out fashion? Strategy components, what do you do in the hamlet?
On to the task's end. Wealth beyond
Yeah,
measure.
I know, right? It makes sense in the game universe. There's so much design space for cool quirks, afflictions, and virtues. I think that they explore it pretty well in this. That's part of where I think they could just keep expanding on this game forever. I think we want to kill this guy as a bigger risk. What does this do again? Marks the target, reduces their defense. Would be better if we had a character member that really benefited from Mark, but we don't. So I'm not going to worry about it. Really gotta kill that guy. I might just try to zap him with the Vestal characteristic gun. Okay. See if we can finish this fight without Kevin getting an affliction here. It's probably not going to happen. She's likely going to target him on the next turn. Kevin or Ben, I guess. The mages are pretty frequently like stress characters in this game. People in the back row. Yeah. Oh, lucky. That was really, really lucky. I think we're gonna need to zap her with the Vestal. Same deal. Perfect. Okay, I think we're pretty safe from stress now. Barring like a critical strike, which I just invited to happen, right? Or him being reduced to 0 hit points would also cause him to be stressed out a little bit, unsurprisingly. Let's try to kill the one that's not stunned, preferably before it gets to act, although I doubt we'll be that fortunate. Hey, look at that. No real reason to heal anymore.
This expedition
Jiminy Christmas. I was really worried about that. Holy water? I guess not. I don't know what item is supposed to go with the coffin.
Laden with loot are often
That was a stressful mission, but that's about perfect timing for us to switch over to Rhapsody here.
pestilence will yet be driven from our woods.
Yeah, right, Jahan? I think that's cool too. This is an exceedingly clever game. Alright, so this is something that never happened to me when we played it on stream. When they get to resolve level 3, they're stronger, obviously. They can, you know, get new armor and new skills, but they refuse to go on easy missions. So if I sent Kevin back on that mission, he'd be like, no, that's too easy for me. So you end up having like tiers of characters where you have some that can only go on the higher level missions and some that can only go on the lower level missions.
Can you feel it? The walls between the sane world and that unplumbed dimension of delirium are tenuously thin here.
I definitely really like in this game that they really want you to try using all of your different characters all the time, as opposed to games where you just figure out what the perfect party is and use them constantly. Like the stress system benefits that, the resolve system benefits that. You're never really just going to find the perfect party and always be using them. Alright, I'll be back.